I'm sure by now, the vast majority of my audience has already seen the very strange footage that came out of a recent CNN town hall with Anderson Cooper. President Joe Biden, as he was being asked questions, held his arms locked at 90 degrees with his fists clenched for a very long time. And many people were wondering what was going on. Well, in today's video, I believe I have a very sane and rational explanation for this, and it also explains three other things that have gone on with President Joe Biden over the last 2 years. What are those three things? Number one, why did Joe Biden disappear into his basement during the last few months of the 2020 election cycle? Why didn't he make any public appearances? No one saw or heard from him. Also, why are there people telling Joe Biden what questions he can and can't take, how long he can take questions for, and controlling the narrative? Even he himself has admitted this, that there are people saying he should or shouldn't ask questions at certain points in time. And also, why does the president disappear back to Delaware virtually every weekend? Even the left has noticed this. By Friday afternoon, he's gone, and he's back in Delaware. I believe I have an explanation for all of this. One thing's for certain, whether you support Joe Biden or not, 2021 Joe Biden is nothing like 2002 Joe Biden. 2002 Joe Biden and Joe Manchin were good buddies. They were good buddies for many, many years. He was part of the Blue Dog Caucus. One thing about Joe Biden, whether you agreed with him or not, nobody back then pushed him around. In fact, it was quite the other way around. He was known to be a bully with a short temper. And he would get loud and he would get angry. And we've seen flashes of this. But recently, he's been far more malleable, far more pliable, open to suggestion. This points to one thing. The man has either had a stroke or he has had some issue with a Parkinson's-like decline. Now, some would say, okay, great, we can get on board with that, but what does it have to do with the position of his arms and why he disappears all the time? Well, it's something called motogravity systems. It's a system that has been developed by the military to train people to work in zero-gravity environments. It's basically a large harness that hooks into VR and keeps you in place, and you can actually walk. The harness will keep you stationary, and they have sensors attached to your legs and your arms and everything. That's what you're looking at through the goggles right here on the right would make it seem as if you were walking through a virtual environment. Now look at this guy's arms. Look at his fists. They not only use this for virtual gravity, zero gravity training for other planets, they use it to help rehabilitate people with Parkinson's and people who've had strokes. It helps them walk in a safe environment and relearn how to use their limbs. And the start position is literally what he was in. I wonder if they've set something up back in Delaware, a physical therapy room in the basement or something that they can only hide there. They can't do this in DC and keep it quiet. Here's another version of the same thing, where they have basically this disc-shaped, very smooth surface that you're in socks on, and they have you suspended, and you can turn and walk and sometimes even jog or run in different directions with a screen strapped over your face. But look at the position of the hands and the arms. Here's an article from neurologia.com that supports this argument. Immersive virtual reality and anti-gravity treadmill training for gait rehabilitation and Parkinson's disease, a pilot and feasibility study. This is December 16th, 2020. I'll give you the link and you can read it. They basically just told you everything that I did. It is a technique for rehabilitating people who've had some type of a neurological event, some type of an issue where they have a balance problem. And I've just brought up some other images that show this. They have people using their arms and their legs simultaneously for rehabilitation after a stroke. It would explain why. We'll get to that in 1 second. It would explain why he disappeared back in 2020. That might have been the original event. That he had the stroke. Remember they had to cancel one of the debates? And they had to keep it quiet. And then all of a sudden, we see this man being controlled. He's even admitted it. He's even said that, they tell me I can't this, they tell me I can't this, they tell me I can't do this other. Joe Biden, 2002, would have never entertained such a thing. He was, I'm just going to say it, he was arrogant to a fault. And it was his big downfall in the Senate, is that he was just no nonsense, hard-nosed, and just would not, especially mostly within his own party is what I'm trying to relate here, is that most of the people within his own party, their problem with him is that he had too much in common with the right, much like Manchin and Sinema now. I hope I said that right. Kirsten Sinema, I think that's how you say it. This is what I believe they have been using to help keep Joe Biden on point without revealing what happened. Because if it had happened, that would have been the end. If that would have gotten out. This might be the real big secret that they're trying to hide with him. They have to take him back on weekends to continue the rehab, continue the physical therapy. It explains his mental lapses, and more importantly, it explains this. They may be using this to help him with debates and with issues like town halls. They'll put him in the VR thing and he'll have to, ask questions or answer questions. And he's just in that, because he's so used to being locked in that physical place that when he got under stress, he just reverted for just a few moments to what he's comfortable with. And I think it explains everything going all the way back to 2020, that the man had a stroke. That, or it's Parkinson's and they just don't want people to know about it and they're hiding it. Why he disappears, why he disappeared then, this image, all of it. Why he has people controlling him. But anyway, Governor DeSantis has announced that he is going to be planning $5,000 bonuses for police officers to come into Florida from other places where they've either been dismissed for not being injected or for just the fact that other places don't like to have law and order. There was a video that I think I'm going to share with you guys in the next video, vid that I bring up, going all the way back to 2012. In fact, you know what? It's only 1:23. I think I'll share it right here. Let me get the volume adjusted, and you can listen to how Governor DeSantis has never wavered from conservatism, not one time. This video is almost 10 years old.
John McCain has just come out and is advocating that the U.S. get involved in Syria and helping the rebels with military airstrikes. How do you feel about that, being that you have such an extensive military background?
Well, I'd be hesitant for us to take sides in some of these conflicts, because I think sometimes we look and see Assad, who's definitely a bad guy, and we think that the people fighting him must therefore be good guys, must be Democrats. And in that part of the world, that's really not the way it ends up working out. And I kind of fear that some of those people who are opposing Assad were some of the same people who were fighting against us when we were in Iraq. So I don't have a good enough sense about the opposition to say that we should jump in on their side. And I think that as a general matter, the kind of taking out these dictators and then creating better societies in that part of the world is much more difficult than sometimes we think.
Now, do you think if they were to get involved, the U.S. were to get involved in Syria, you think we may see the same thing that happened in Libya, that you have something like the Muslim Brotherhood come in, and it's more of an unruly government than anything?
It's possible, and that's the thing. When we talk about democracies in this part of the world, you can go vote, and that's part of it. But you got to have an appreciation for individual rights and liberty, and it can't just be my mob against your mob. And I kind of feel in Libya that's what you saw. You just saw a couple warring factions, and you'll probably see the same thing in Syria. And so, for us to get involved in that, I'm just not sure that that's the wise thing at this point.
2012 interview. I don't even believe in 2012, I'll have to look this up, that Governor DeSantis had any designs on the governorship in Florida. He had probably just been out of the military, not for very long. But in his context, he said, Democrats, good guys. Basically, over there, Democrats means anyone who believes in voting. So, not Democrats as per what we refer to them as versus Republicans. So anyway, I'll leave it there. But God bless. Have a happy Sunday. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.